to Barry Tidmore, talking about Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yes.
Can he stay healthy?
He plays with reckless abandon. Now, I thought it'd be very hard for him to change his style, quit sliding head first in because, wrist injuries, thumb injuries, shoulder injuries. He's done that. He's quit running into walls first 2 weeks of the season. I thought, because he kept banging into fences and he's gotten progressively better at reading fly balls off the bat because initially his reaction time was really slow. Take a step back. No, you gotta go in. He's playing a dynamic right field. And I'll tell you what, with him and Trent Grisham in center field, they cover so much real estate. Holy cow.
They do, yeah.
They got to go to work for Remax. Very impressed. I mean, as long as he doesn't get hurt, because he does play really hard.
Yeah, I think you could tell that he still plays athletically and with all this enthusiasm and energy, but he hasn't been crossing the line as much, where in his first couple of years, I mean, he was just, 100% on everything.
Yeah, the correct word you're looking for is balls to the wall.
100%, yeah. So now he's a little bit more mature. He's picking his moments, but geez, just to watch him last night, the athleticism in every component of the game was just fantastic. We're just so happy to have him here in San Diego.
You don't see that. You don't see that in a given game. A guy check off all the boxes in one night.
Phenomenal.
It
was incredible.
All right, next question.
Okay, so let's go here to Rome Loves Dan. He says, the leagues are bargaining with the dark side, accepting all these gambling site partnership money-making deals.
John used the word hypocrisy. The league won't view it that way. It's business. And what is the NFL all about? It's dollars and cents. Yeah, the game is great. We love NFL Sundays and Monday Night Football and all that, but it's a mega business. I mean, I think they're at $18 billion revenue, and they're no different than anybody else. The NBA has started to take gambling dollars, and Major League Baseball on the broadcast, the DraftKings percentage that this guy's can put the ball in play is everybody's doing it because the money is out there, the revenue is out there. But at the end of the day, you have to have rules, regulations. You have to freaking threaten people that you're not going to gamble. And these are the guidelines. And for the players, I know there are some probably who have a gambling addiction. But for the players, they have to understand what they put at risk if they do it themselves. That's their career. That's their contract. Can I just mention the name Pete Rose?
Yeah.
There we go. So that's where we are. Is it hypocrisy? Maybe not. I just think it's the world of business that professional sports is living in right now.
I mean, imagine if you could wave a magic wand and gambling disappeared. I know it sounds ridiculous, but imagine it was not just illegal, but just didn't exist. The NFL would not be anywhere near what it is right now. It's all the gambling money that really builds a lot more additional enthusiasm around the league. That's why people are signing up for NFL Sunday tickets in the red zone, because they want to see when their wide receiver on their fantasy team scores. But yeah, for the players' perspective, I mean, they got to understand, obviously, they can lose a lot of their own money gambling. Number two, they could lose their career gambling, and that should be a big threat from the league. But they have to also understand that they're potentially killing the golden goose. That if this league goes into this funny business of being like an orchestrated theater, then it loses all credibility.
The word is integrity.
Yes.
So that's where we are. I am concerned, though, that this is the tip of the iceberg. What happened in Detroit, what's happened in Indy, and this name player who lost $8 million last year, that's going to come out. I think it's probably not rampant, but I think it's probably in a bunch of locker rooms because these are young guys with time on their hands, with bank to spend, whatever. Next question.
Okay, this is kind of a fun one, talking a little bit about the days of sports talk radio. From Art Flores. I don't think that's the real Art Flores, former head coach of the Raiders. Hey, legit question, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Do you get upset when Rome impersonates you? Don't let it bother you, bro. It's funny. And where will Matt, I assume he means Matt Ariza, land?
Don't have any problem with it. Romy was a teammate. We didn't always agree. That's okay. We were part of the cornerstones that made Extra 690 legendary. I guess, and John and I have talked about this before, because it's one of the first things John ever asked me. I don't get upset. I don't understand it, though, Because if he's talking to a nationwide audience, whatever he's got left on his radio show, and he starts dropping these things, show me your lightning bolt. The guy in a car in Des Moines, Iowa, listening probably doesn't understand what that means.
No.
I mean, in SoCal, yeah, people would understand it. So, it's cool. He's had a great career. I had a great career. So I don't have a problem with it. In terms of Ariza, we have now come through mini camps. I am really surprised nobody signed him. It would have to be a minimum wage contract. We got till July 26th. Now, sometimes if you get into camp and your punter suffers a major injury, maybe he's the first name in the Rolodex that they'll call. But I think the kid deserves a chance because a league historically has given second chances to a lot of guys, including a bunch of bad citizens. I just think there shouldn't be a penalty for a college kid who was, quote, stupid. I hope he gets a chance.
Well, yeah, I hope so too. I mean, he's very deserving. I mean, he's the punt god after all. So we are all rooting for him. But you know what, Lee? We all love you. And so
not everybody.
Well, okay. But when Rome does that, it's like an inside joke to the clones, right? But when I hear him impersonating you, it makes me feel like it's 1993 again, and I'm listening on 690 and it's like I'm sort of inside, I kind of get the joke because and it's not really a joke, but it's love and flattery, but it's just kind of neat when he does it. And yeah, the new clones that started listening 10 years ago, they have no idea what this is about, but I just like it. It makes me smile.
He didn't smile when I said early on, because we used to exchange gunfire on the air. And I said, you know who he reminds me of? Remember the TV show Welcome Back, Kotter? That's Arnold Horshack, is it not? He got so upset at me, but no, he's had a really nice career and he's got a great wife and 2 kids, and he's done very, very well. And I've done very, very well too. Okay, yeah. On we go. Let's go here and get Kenny involved. Kenny Hernandez said, will a Kellen Moore offense give Isaiah Spiller more playing time? He's going to probably get playing time. They got to develop him. There's no doubt that what he did at Texas A&M was really special. They spent the OTAs lining him up sometimes as a slot receiver, in addition to being maybe the backup running back. He'll get ops in games. I don't think he's going to put Eckler on the bench, but he'll be a very good insurance policy. And they really like all the things he does. And it's interesting, Kellen Moore's closing comments yesterday was the final day of OTAs. He told the players, be prepared to make plays and do your job when you get here July 26th. I'm going to be fascinated to see what they do differently offensively, because, John, they are loaded on offense. The front line has been rebuilt. They now have 4 young guys and the old dog at center and Corey Linsley. Love the offensive line. They obviously have a tight end they like in Gerald Everett. They've got Keenan Allen. They got Mike Williams. They got Quentin Johnston, the number 1 pick, who looked pretty good. They get Guyton back coming off the knee surgery. Josh Palmer had a breakout season. So they're deep there. They're at least 2 to 3 deep at running back. I think offensively they're going to be fun. Defensively, I think they still got holes they have to find a way to address. There's still a bunch of unsigned defensive free agents out there. But I'm looking forward to rooting for Justin Herbert to go 17-0 with the offense. Of course, I do want Dean Spanos to go 0-17 as the owner of the Chargers. Go ahead. Do you think it's realistic or it's fair for the fans to be skeptical of Kellen Moore because he comes from the Cowboys, and the Cowboys have had a lot of frustrations in the playoffs? Well, Cowboys last year were wiped out with injuries in the offensive front. And then, of course, Dak Prescott 2 years ago had a real significant injury. And Ezekiel Elliott, it's a lot of miles on those tires. He's not the same running back anymore. He's still unsigned. So they were going through some transition along the way. But Kellen Moore's a bright guy, and he's an X and O's guy. And when Dak Prescott was healthy and Zeke still was healthy, and they had Amari Cooper for a period of time, they moved the ball down the field. So I'll be interested to see how different this offense is. That quarterback there, I should say, Chargers quarterback is really dynamic. So He knows where to put the ball, where not to put the ball. He knows defenses. He knows timing patterns. He's got a gun for an arm. He's got mobility, though he doesn't want to run, but he moved the pocket. He doesn't get rattled. You take your grade point average at UCSD and my grade point average at Ohio, you add it together, it wouldn't probably match Justin Herbert's grade point average at Oregon. He's a real sharp guy. So yeah, you're right. I'm excited for offense. I don't think they can stop anybody, and maybe they're going to have to win their games 42-38.
Well, yeah, but he's got to win in the playoffs. I mean, that's the level we haven't seen from him.
Next step. You have to take the next step. You have to learn how to win in the playoffs.
Okay, so let's move on. We got some social media questions here, and here we go. This is from Michael Alley talking about Stan Kroenke and the San Diego Sports Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Says, Lee, I had a thought. After seeing a report on this yesterday, what if Stan Kroenke plans on selling his interest in the Colorado Avalanche and buys the Coyotes and moves them to San Diego? This is not outside the realm of possibilities. He did something similar with bringing the Rams back to LA. It would also have his hockey interest close to his business here in SoCal with the Rams.
That's hockey fan joining us on the hockey hotline. That's kind of like you. He's, you're in left field. He's thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
I think that's too complicated. I mean, Kroenke has done so many phenomenal things in the Rocky Mountain region. I mean, from his NBA champion Nuggets, Colorado Avalanche, who won a crown, what he's done in soccer, what he's done in building stadiums, and his media interest. He owns a regional sports network that is flourishing.
Wow.
So he's really successful in that 303 area code. I don't think he would divest himself of the Avs. But your point being made, and nobody wants to talk about it because Gary Bettman is defiant, the NHL commissioner, that we're staying in Arizona. Why would you stay in Arizona when you don't have an arena? You got the Players Association now really upset. You don't have huge fan support. If we get this when Kroenke builds this thing, and it's probably going to be 16 thou, why would you not reach across the state line and try to snatch the Arizona Coyotes maybe 2 years from now or 3 years from now? These things take time. You're not going to build a new sports arena by 3 weeks from Monday. I'll guarantee you that. But as we're looking towards 26, maybe 27, and if Arizona's never ever solved their thing, why not? San Diego making a move to get the Coyotes. 3.5 million market. It is a good hockey market, as proven by the great support for the American Hockey League San Diego Gulls up to last season when they had a really bad year. It makes a lot of sense. But that being said, also, if the NHL gives up, you got Houston. For some reason, people think Atlanta will be a very different market. And the one that I think should get the franchise is Quebec at the Olympic Stadium there. So a lot of things have to happen, but it's not bad to think out of the box. You can wish and hope. That'd be kind of cool if that ever happened, but not going to happen immediately.
Well, San Diego sports fans are excited, and you got a billionaire rolling in, potentially new facility. Well, definitely a new facility. Why not a new team? So this is going to be a fun, 3 or 4 years here, how this unfolds.
Okay, on we go. Let's go bring in a couple more here.
Okay, this is about the Jaguars and their stadium situation from Logan Robinson. He says, from the community meetings the Jags have been having over the past couple of days, it seems like they prefer 2 years construction and play in Gainesville at the Swamp.
Well, there has been talk Gainesville. There has been talk Citrus Bowl, Orlando, and this Daytona Speedway thing just kind of came out of nowhere. Now, it's 90 miles from Jacksonville on a straight shot down the freeway. But that stadium, the way it's constructed, they could seat, I was told, 60 to 100,000 on the main straightaway. You build the field right in the infield, and then you could construct some partial stands maybe in the end zones and on the other side of the field. If you have the potential to draw 101,000 for all your home games, I think you'd want to go to Daytona rather than go to the Citrus Bowl, which seats 42,000, or obviously in the Swamp. It's going to be interesting to see. They've already started dialogue with the engineers about how could we do this at Daytona Speedway. They seem really fascinated. Now, I don't know if this is all a leverage thing by Shad Khan, the owner, that if we don't get this done, I might go to London for 2 years. And I know Jacksonville in Eastern Florida would not want to lose the Jaguars for 2 full seasons and go play all their home games in London. Of course, the league is looking at it from a different perspective. When we spin back to the shield and money, the league is looking, well, let's experiment and see if England, United Kingdom, would really support full-time an NFL franchise, and Jacksonville can be the one to plant the flag as the experiment. I don't know. You tell me.
This is interesting ideas. I imagine the people that run the Daytona Motor Speedway are loving this. This is a potential huge revenue boost for that property. I just wonder if they did it and then they put the football field in the infield, and then the Daytona, 500 comes around the next year. Will they be able to still function that event normally? Because things have been reconfigured.
Well, yeah, but you're not ripping the track up.
Mhm.
You're just building a football field, and if we put temporary stands in the other side of the field, we still have the base 60 to 102,000 that sit along the straightaway screaming and yelling at Denny Hamlin and all those guys.
Would it be like the old school LA Coliseum where there's almost like a running track around the football field, and so the fans and the stands are further back?
They would be, because you can't move the football field onto the track because the track is tilted. It's got a huge banking degree. It's interesting to see where this goes. And I'd never say never, because the league has the ability to do a lot of creative things. And this is a little bit out of the box, but it's worth watching to see where it goes. Let's do one more here.
Okay, one more. This is the next one in line. This is from how do you say it? Vimeka. Okay, that's how you say it. Talking about the Padres and everything that's going crazy with them. Padres flagship station won't say anything bad about the Padres, and local news has been garbage for many years now, especially 4-minute long sports segments. We need Hacksaw back on the waves.
Well, anything is possible, I guess. If the phone rings, I guess I pick it up and I talk to somebody. I just think that when you do sports talk radio, you have a responsibility to the citizens and the listener to cover the stories. If you win 5, you talk in glowing terms. If you lose 5, you analyze why you're struggling. If your star is hitting 333, you have that conversation. If he's hitting 222, you have to have that conversation. They're just a blend of honesty. You need to be fair. Philosophically, when I did sports talk radio, I didn't beat up the teams that were on my station or the team I broadcast, the Chargers. But if there were things that had to be said, I remember that we lost a game in Kansas City. It was horrid. Just played like crap and had playoff implications. And I went on at 4:00 with the best 15 minutes in radio. And my start after I did my opening thing was, here's what's going on in the world of sports. Here's what Lee Hamilton thinks. You did not. You did not do that. Oh, tell me that did not happen. Chargers lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I didn't rip them. I just staged it a certain way. And then I let the fans open the phones and let the tidal wave of comment, critique come that way. You got to be fair. You need to be fair to the athlete. Only thing I ever said is if an athlete gets arrested, we're going to talk about it, and it might not be pretty, but that's on the athlete. That's not on the talk show host. But to ignore a team falling apart, you can't cheerlead if you're going to have any credibility. That's my philosophy. That's the way I always did it. It's being done a little bit differently now, but I think the fans appreciate it when you give them the window to comment. And see, that's one of the problems I have is nobody takes phone calls anymore. I don't think it's good radio for 2 hosts to sit there for hours and hours and hours and hours. So you did not do that.
Yeah, well, I think interesting to me. Now, when you were the play-by-play man for the for the Chargers, were you an employee of the football team or were you an employee of the radio station?
I worked for the radio station, lock, stock, and barrel.
Okay, and so then they contracted out to the radio station to broadcast the games.
Yep.
So you weren't really reporting to like a Charger executive.
Never once.
So you really should have the freedom to say what you want, but you're a professional, so you're not going to be over the top. You're going to be fair. But I think these teams, these players, they also have to have a thick skin too, because they're in the public eye. This is, like TMZ to a degree, and they love the praise, but they've got to be also to be able to accept the criticism.
As long as you're fair.
Correct.
If you're fair in your analysis that this guy can't pitch anymore, we got to go find somebody else to plug into that rotation.
Mm-hmm.
They understand that. They should understand it. And I've hardly had any issues with athletes. I never had an issue with the Chargers till they left our station. And then they managed to go 1-15 in the Ryan Leaf era. Okay. And then it was guns a-blazing. And I had things to say, and I let the fans have things to say. And when they bitched about it, my response was, you used to be here in the station. You left our station. That probably changed the whole game. So be it. But I never had a problem. But I did stage with how I wanted to put, quote, topics on the table. And when I said, you did not. Tell me you did not lose to the Kansas City Chiefs, who I think were 2-9 at that point. And the phones just exploded.
Yeah, well, that's the right way to play it for your perspective, is let all the vitriol come from the callers that are calling in. But gee whiz, I mean, just being a Charger fan back in the day, you just get so frustrated, sometimes, because the Chargers had the better team and they would just blow it in the end, or they'd lose to an inferior team. I mean, it would just pull your hair out. I just remember listening to you on Sundays, a lot of times with the ticket in one hand and the transistor radio in the other. But on Mondays, I mean, I would either be in a good mood or a bad mood. And then I started thinking, man, I'm taking this too seriously.
We all do. Quote, you fall under the description of fanatical.
Exactly.
It's interesting. It's just a different dynamic now. And so we had a great run. And the best thing, it was interesting. A sidebar. I was on a talk show in Seattle today because I had done the Seahawks too. And they remembered me, and they were talking about the most controversial thing that was going on when I was doing Seahawk football. And it was after Dennis Erickson had been the coach, and they brought in Mike Holmgren, and they started to build the thing. And we got the chance to go to the playoffs in the final weekend of the season and got screwed on a goal line call. Vinny Testaverde, New York Jets, tried a quarterback sneak on a 4th down play with 20 seconds to go. His helmet crossed the goal line. The ball never did. And they still signaled touchdown. And I'm sitting there. The replay took 5 minutes. It went forever. And we kept looking at different angles on the replay in the Seahawks radio booth. And he never got in. Never. The ball never. It was tucked in his hand, and his head was across the line, and his hand was back here. And then the Jeff Triplett, the referee, turns on the mic. Upon further review, it is a touchdown, New York Jets. And I, off the top of my head, I barked, my God, they gave him the touchdown. And that wound up on NFL Films, which really shocked me because NFL Films is a subsidiary of Park Avenue in the NFL League office, and they put that in there. And so the guys in Seattle today brought that up. Just they flashed and remembered that. So, hey, we live and die with the team. And I'll close out with this. The worst part about doing games, being the voice of a team, is when you're losing, because it's just really hard. And if you're bad and you don't have any hope, it's really hard. The best part is when you get good, grab on and hold on for the ride, as witnessed by what San Diego became when Bobby Ross led this team to the playoffs, and then led this team to the AFC Championship game, and led this team to the Super Bowl. The journey is the best part. I know that Steve Young blew our doors off and threw 6 touchdown passes on Super Bowl Sunday, but the journey to get to the Super Bowl is something you never, ever forget, and I bet it's the same way for everybody here in the community. Hey, listen, we appreciate you being with us on our